seems to help us. And, it's been quite a recent thing where people are even trying to, especially the individuals that have their inhabit in their natural space to come, like, when you look at Durban, people came from India. So they all want to know which ship their grandfather came on, which part of India they came from. And there's a big whole research that went into finding out where the roots are. And for some reason, we feel that when we understand our roots, we're going to get to know ourselves better. How many of you think that that's true? Okay. So in a way, our roots can give us a little bit of an idea where we actually came from. But I like to think that, we are really unique individuals, and that our makeup is not physical, actually. It's quite a divine kind of pattern that makes us function. Because, even if you think about your own physical family, you may have siblings. You are born in the same house, mother and father are the same, you ate all the same food, you were brought up with the same kind of information. And then when your siblings grow up and they get married and you go visit their house and you think, is this the person I lived with all my life? Is this my mother's child? It's like they've grown up to be completely different personalities when they start creating their own environment. Have you found that happening? Mm-hmm. That you think, really, did we grow for all these years together? Shouldn't there be something common? So that kind of stuff makes you realize that these things that we hold on to physically can actually be a very limited perception of our roots. Because, we maybe have associated ourselves that, this is my mother's child, so, I should be like this one. But we all know that in that home, even your mother's child might like this, but you don't like it. And so where is this real roots that we actually need to discover? What is it that really binds us and holds us together? And in fact, what is very beautiful to realize that instead of just thinking that me and my 4 siblings actually have one root coming from this name of family, all 8.5 billion of us actually come from the same blueprint or the same design. And I think that's the beautiful thing to actually unpack and realize, because we have become, in a way, separated from this very unlimited design and got trapped in the little limitations of, we came from the same town and we spoke the same language. And even today we were discovering, how people get so attached that when they hear somebody speaking their lingo, they so easily drop everything and they feel so at home when somebody speaks their language. And when we use this word language, it's not only the spoken language, but it's actually a style even that we think, no, you have my kind of talk, and that's the person I want to associate. But like scientists will always gravitate towards speaking to scientists, and engineers will speak to engineers. So these skills, perhaps, they make us so comfortable and make us feel so at home that we would leave some of our stuff and gravitate to something that brings out the best in us. And so just imagine that we are trying to kind of make ourselves feel at home and comfortable. But imagine if we can really get back to our real roots. So when this word blueprint came about, I thought it's a very interesting word, because sometimes what happens is that when something is designed and constructed, the blueprints are forgotten. It's like, we get so caught up in the external that the real foundation of anything, what was the real purpose, can actually get lost. So just like that, in our world today, we are experiencing a huge expansion. And in the expansion, we've experienced division. And because of division, we've become isolated. So now we're craving the belonging again. Would you agree with it? It's like we feel alone. So that's why we gravitate towards trying to find something out there that feels familiar and similar to me. And this kind of isolation is perhaps where we find people are feeling that now they need to find something. People do hobbies, do many things externally to sort of find the purpose. And the real reason for this kind of like separation is because we've moved away from ourselves. You know, think about when you are very comfortable with who you are. Do you try and fit in with other people? It's only when you're uncomfortable, then you try and find somebody who has something that's familiar with you. But even if internally you're feeling very safe and secure, then whatever anyone's doing, no matter how different it is from you, you don't mind because you have like a deeper sense of acceptance of yourself. So naturally, you accept others for who they are. And I think this is something which is really a secret. So, you know, they say that when somebody is craving something, it's because that's the lack. So we gravitate towards a certain thing that we need because internally that's missing. So if we had to ask ourselves, what are we missing in our lives? You think you have a list you can kind of make as to what we're missing? Let me see. But if you had a menu and you could choose, what are the things you would choose for the things that will make your life the way you want it to be? There's no right or wrong, it's what you're feeling. What did you say? And don't be shy, right? Because you'll be lucky, it might just happen. If you ask for it, it'll come. So wish for it.
I would say predictability.
Predictability. So you want some kind of certainty. Okay, good.
A bigger apartment.
A big apartment, okay. And what's that bigger apartment going to do for you?
Provide more space between my parents and myself.
You want more space, okay?
I would say more time.
More time on Zoom, okay?
Maybe for me, it's commute. Although Ubers and whatever, it's comfortable, easy, but it's just that maybe that certain time when you feel like maybe it would have been much easier than transport.
You had your own transport, so you can be more connected, no? You don't feel like you're depending on anybody else. What else? A little bit more time, so there's another one for time, yeah. And the way time is going, I mean, today is the 3rd of July, and before you know it, we're going to think, oh, it's already the 3rd of August. Where did that 31 days go, isn't it? It feels like that. So yes, time seems to be like really slipping away. Anything else? The rest of you got everything I want. You're okay, right? Cool. That's very good. You guys are okay there. Y'all don't need anything, eh? Or you scared to open your list, is that it? But just give us a few ideas. Let me see. I want to hear a few more ideas. Is it only the Ubering you want? Nothing else? I mean, I'm just curious. I mean,
I suppose these other things
like what? Tell me.
Like in my case, I'm not with my family,
Mhm.
but I got friends like who are as good as family for
Mhm.
me. You know, sometimes it is just that, you know, that feeling that you
Miss.
get like, oh, I would have loved to, to be with my family and to share this with the family, you know.
Mm. Mhm. I see a few hot nods going there.
Yeah, on Zoom again, peace and calm.
Peace and calm,
And that one more love.
more laughter. Tell them they should have come here. There's some laughter happening in here.
More adventure.
More adventure, okay. You're about to say something. Let me hear. More daring, okay. Peace, yeah.
Peace free from worldly challenges.
Peace and free from worldly challenges. Are you also not nodding on that one there? Yeah, okay.
Best friends and person. Everybody wants to connect on Facebook.
That's it.
Yeah.
So this feeling of being connected, right?
Yeah.
So we're coming back to this idea, even feeling secure, we feel very safe when we have people that we know, and we're like, it's interesting you saying about the bigger apartment. I just thought it's a nice thing to. Why does that happen sometimes? That you feel you need your own space?
Feel grounded in the space that you are.
Yeah, but you only feel crowded if maybe when you're with people, maybe they're telling you don't do this, you must do this. So that's how, because you can be in a big house and still feel like people are on top of you because they keep putting their requests on top of you. And you can be in a small place and feel like you have all the space because you're so accepted. So it's not really a physical thing, isn't it? If you think about it. And there's a lovely exercise that we do where we use physical symbols and try and work out what those symbols mean to us. And it's always where we use a very gross thing, even like a clock. And by time we kind of go down into understanding what that clock really represents, it will always end up to be some kind of virtue or quality or feeling or value even, And it seems like at the end of the day, we can only measure our needs based on physical things. But these physical things are actually symbolic of something much deeper that we have actually become almost unconscious of, because the demands of a physical world has become so great that we don't anymore measure the subtle things. They only get expressed in the physical things. So like getting that Uber is a connectiveness, feeling like, you can actually get wherever you want to, and it feels like a freedom. When you can't get anywhere, you feel stuck, isn't it? So I'm just doing this so that I want you to always, when you feel physically something, to ask yourself, what is the deeper message? Because our physical obstacle, if I might call it, or the physical lack of, has a seed in something a little bit more subtle. Because, so often when you think about, and I don't know if this ever happened to you, but I remember very clearly when 9/11 took place, I was in the Drakensberg, and the whole world was at this amazing standstill that the terrorists have attacked, and there's all this thing happening, and America was like falling apart and everything. And in the Berg, there was these little children playing with their tires, and like nothing touched them at all. It was like it wouldn't have made a difference if the whole of America vanished. It wouldn't have made any difference. For them, their life was completely independent from the outside world because they lived completely in the fields. They were getting their food from the fields. There was very little that they were taking from, like their electricity and everything was within their control. It didn't matter if the power failed. And at that point, you could think, who is more advantaged? All of us that got all our gadgets and everything, or these people that were completely independent of a very volatile world? who is actually more fortunate? You know, it's these kind of things that kind of make us think a little bit more deeply. And so when we get back to understanding that how our material world and its demands and all of this has actually somehow become like a blindfold. It may have even become an aesthetic that has disconnected us from the real life that actually we have. I mean, I don't know how many of you in this, well, the whole group even, how many of you travel frequently out of South Africa and go to other parts of the world? And if you travel out of South Africa and you experience, I mean, I know in Cape Town you'll experience extreme cold, but where I come from, which is Durban, we don't get so cold. But still, when you think about where we are in this country, I know if we had to start complaining, we would have such a long list, isn't it? But just ask yourself, what's happening in the rest of the world? And do we really know what we already have here? And so it's so interesting that it's so easy to look at somebody else's life and think, you know, it's better there. And we could also have a better life there. And they more free there, they more this there, and all sorts of crazy things. But when we really start to appreciate what we already have, we realize we don't need anything. And that's why I think spirituality is such an important subject that we need to explore. And if we go back really to what is our intrinsic, you know, the real design of ourselves, what are we really made of? And when we can actually unfold that, then we'll realize that the search is over. We don't need anything. But to get to that point where we can actually really let go of these things that we actually holding on to define ourselves, is actually another journey altogether. But just as a start point to look at and think about, there are some things that are already in place, and if we observe them, and then if we look towards them and then see how we can identify with it. So at this point, you don't have to let go of anything. Just be as you are. But I want you to just think about, you know, like there are times when we have these sort of, how can I say, challenges. Where do we go to? Each one of us, where would we go to? What do we look up to for help? She's saying up there. I don't see anything on the ceiling.
We pray.
We pray, right? We pray. So some way instinctively, whether we look for here, there, everywhere, up there. And I like how your eyeballs just went up there. Up there is only the ceiling, isn't it? And yet, what does that up there really symbolize? It's a divine, isn't it? Something that can't be explained or seen. And I feel comfortable that in this country, we can speak about God in a very open way because we all have some faith. We may be of different faith, but we still experience and share this wonderful love for a divine, isn't it? So when we think about that instinctively, that that's the source, then how can we actually have so much faith in something we don't see? Where does that connection come from? And at that point, all we do have to do is let's go back to ourselves and then really ask ourselves, am I just only this or there's more to me? And we know there's more to us, isn't it? But what's happening is that we spend a lot of our lives just taking care of the outer shell. And this outer shell is such a huge distraction. Does it ever get satisfied? Does it ever get enough sleep? Does it ever get all the things it needs? You know, if you give it a little bit of extra sugar, now it wants 10 times more sugar, isn't it? You give it a little bit more food, now it grows even a bigger appetite. Now you have to feed it in more. You get to sleep more and then you want a little bit more sleep. Have you noticed that? The more you give it, the more it wants, isn't it? It's like doesn't stop at all. So it seems like a little black hole when we start looking after this body. It just doesn't have some pause button or stop button. So unfortunately, what's happened is that in this distraction of taking care of this which we think we are, which is very temporary because it doesn't stay the same size, it doesn't remain the same shape, it doesn't remain the same color, it just constantly changes. And so we're investing in something that actually can't be contained. And yet there's a part of us that is absolutely connected to that upstairs, that knows the upstairs, which we've actually ignored, which we take for granted because it's always there. And that is actually the spirit, the being that I am. And when we kind of give, even now and then, a little bit of attention, we'll actually get back to know ourselves. The real me lies in that. And it's not really far away. It just needs focusing, like a shift of attention. When we start giving it a little attention, it's like when you put a little bit light on it. You know, if a diamond was in a dark closet, the diamond's value never changes. It's just that you can't see it. It will always be the same size, the same value. Everything about it remains exactly the same. The only thing is that you're not aware of it. And so in the same way, there is this absolute wonderful treasure that's within that we're not aware of. It really does exist. Nobody can make it, nobody can develop it. It's always existed. But what it needs is for us to put the spotlight on it, which means we need to have some insight, some awareness. And the spotlight that works a lot on it is the spotlight of the divine. So when I allow that divine light to shine on me, it does allow me to then really see myself as I am. Because with these eyes, I'm only going to see the external. I actually have to stop seeing with these eyes. Even though I might got glasses, it's not going to help. I really have to see with that eye of insight. And when I do that, then I really start exploring something that is actually even beyond our comprehension at this point. Because we still live in a world of duality. And in our world of duality, we'll say, don't laugh too much, you'll cry just now, you know? And so in that kind of tone, we've actually even limited our expectations of the best. And so we need to kind of change gear. And I'm so sorry, I'm keep repeating your idea, but I just love how your eyeballs went up, because that thought about it's all a matter of just from looking here, just rolling my eyeballs up. That's all it took a moment for you, isn't it? You didn't say anything, but as soon as you did that, it was absolutely accurate what you were meaning. So that's how close that connection is. It's just a change of direction. Now she's lifting her eyebrows too, which really means remarkable, isn't it?
I'm like agreeing.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm seeing it and I'm just thinking it's really that straightforward. And I think in our hearts of heart, we all know that, isn't it? We agree or not. We know it, isn't it? But I don't know if we got into the habit of making life difficult for ourselves, you know? We like carrying heavy bags and pulling heavy burdens. So we thought, you know, if it's too easy, it can't be real. It's like if you go to the gym and you don't put enough weights, you don't think you're exercising, isn't it? But what I've learned recently is just a few stretches is more than any cardio that you need. But listen, I'm no fitness expert, but I just tell you that hard work doesn't always need to mean effective, isn't it? So it's really with this idea that if we can just retune ourselves, and it's almost like the language that we've been telling ourselves that, you know, you have to work hard, you have to battle. We need to put that little bit aside and let's bring up this language of love, which we're all in love with, isn't it? We all think love is like the main part of our lives. So when it comes to spiritual matters, why do we bring in the language of hard work, discipline, sacrifice, instead of just introducing love itself? Why do you think we go the hard route? If somebody tells you spirituality is no, too much to give up, immediately it's like the whole message is stop living. You have to now stand on one foot in cold water, and I don't know what you have to do. It's like constantly like a penance. Spirituality equivalent to penance. Is it true or false? It seems like that. It's like I don't know where we get this information from. So even that imposition, it came because people use spirituality to punish people and make people feel not good enough. And so we've got this like incorrect message that God means strict, hard work, the stick, the black book, all sorts of crazy ideas. And yet when we think about that one, God is not really like that, isn't it? Has anyone said God is an angry person or an angry being? We've remembered God as a form of the ocean of peace, the ocean of love, the merciful one, the benevolent one. These are the qualities that we remember God by. But in our life, when we relate to God, we treat God as a punishing God, as someone who's so strict and austere. So there's like a lot of mixture in our understanding. So the one thing that we need to do is we need to go back to our blueprint to see where we come from. And even for us, if we think about it, the bottom line, all these things that you spoke about, what you want, they actually get minimized to the idea that we just want to be peaceful. We just want there to be harmony and love. That's all. People are not looking for a lot. If you ask somebody why you want a big house, so I can be peaceful and harmonious, it's not that the big house is going to make me any happier, isn't it? It really is that at the end of the day, I'm not troubled by anyone or anything. But the only way we can define it is by the physical things. And that's really something very important for us to perhaps acknowledge. No one can actually tell you what you want. You need to actually investigate and go deep inside of yourself and really ask those questions. So if I really had a big house, how would that make me happy? And then if I had all of that, how will that make a difference? And seriously, if you did that kind of soul-searching interview with yourself, you'll realize it's not really the Uber that you want. It's really, that's just one thing that we can identify with, which is external. And I think this level of truth is very essential for us, because otherwise we are also floating in an illusionary world. We're creating a make-believe for ourselves. And when we do that, we move further and further away from our real self. So then when we isolated from our real self, how are we going to connect with another living being? We will then still become alone. When you think about being close to family, why does family feel more closer than anybody else? Is it because they mine? What does mine mean? But in actual fact, if the divine is my parent and all of these 8.5 billion people are the children of the divine, isn't that mine more mine than anything else? Because these who I say are mine will be only as long as this body lasts. Then I'll be separated from them. But in the form of a spiritual being, this is my whole family for eternity. So I belong to everyone equally forever. Just little gems like this, they change our attitude about life. And I think a lot about what's happening to ourselves is our programming. We've been programmed in a way that really, in a way, puts us on the wrong footing. You know, like how we tell some children, you know, you got attitude. What does that mean? We say that, isn't it? You know, you got attitude, because it's like how you thinking doesn't align with my thinking. But we have all developed attitude, and we've used it because we think that's going to protect my identity. It's going to define me. It's my sense of self-respect. Because actually, I lost myself. So the ego is trying to create a self based on something external. And so that's really something that then becomes the biggest deception. So our spiritual journey is very beautiful because it teaches us one thing, that it helps us to stop taking the noise from the outside, whether it's the things I hear, the things I see, even the things I touch. They're still coming from an external sense. And an external sense is still temporary. But if we can actually retune ourselves and start connecting with the intuitive and start allowing the silence to create the right waves and then connect. So we listen through silence, we speak through silence, not the noises of the senses. Then we connect with each other. You know, recently there was someone who I know quite well was unwell, but physically I didn't have the space or time to meet them. And I thought, you know, when we go and meet somebody who's unwell, we just like connect with them, you know, you're not okay, we also with you, and we kind of give them good wishes. And I had this feeling that it would be important for me to say that to that person. But first of all, I knew I couldn't get there. And secondly, talking on the phone wasn't a good idea. So I just sat quietly and I thought, I know who that person is. They're sitting in a body that is in a certain place, but I can connect with the soul. And I sat quietly in a very still way, and almost like I was sitting in front of that person, I spoke to the soul. And it was such a lovely feeling. It actually removed from me this thought that I didn't go and see the person. Such a real feeling, actually. And I realized that actually we do communicate very powerfully with our thoughts. So, for example, if I don't like somebody and I think, oh, not that one again. As soon as you did that, you already gave them the message. You think that they never hear you because you did it behind their back or in another room. But the moment you created that thought, that vibration went. And then when you come in front of them, there's a misunderstanding. And you think, but I never do anything wrong. But you actually forgot what you already sent out in their direction. So there was one class that we had a couple of weeks ago, and it was very clear in that class that before you even meet anyone, first send that one good energy. See them in the real form with their highest respect, and then communicate with them. And then you see the responses that you have. And so it's really important for us now that if we want to start experiencing the quality of life that we want for ourselves, we need to work from our core, from our real self. And our real self is not a taking self. Because we are energy, what does an energy do? Have you seen an energy close in on energy? What does an energy do? It's radiating outward always. So our intrinsic nature is a nature that radiates. It's actually a radiant being. So when I'm actually using any thought that's pulling attention to myself, I'm going against my DNA. I'm going against that which I really am. And that can't make me grow. That will stifle me. So it's really important for us to actually be aligned to our inner core values in everything we do. If I rather use those qualities of being light and being radiant and being giving, then actually it's going to allow me to grow. So that's why wherever I go, I'm going to then start flourishing. I'm going to be feeling like I am getting something from there, not feeling like I need. And you know, when we know we are needed, we're at our best, isn't it? Doesn't matter whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night. If you know you need it, how do you function? At optimum, isn't it? So this is something that we're doing, that our mental positioning has become, I need. And we need to discard that. Actually, we need nothing. Everything that we need already exists inside of us. We're just not looking at it. Can you connect with that? It's really true, isn't it? So if we can start just shifting our attention away from the external and focus and put the light more on who I am and start exploring and enjoying in the silence the being that I really am. And as I utilize it, so even this thought that I'm a little star in this dark sky, if there's one star, what does that look like? It decorates that whole black sky. That's the beauty of one star. We don't just say one star, we just are quite fascinated and mesmerized that in this dark sky, there's one star. And that's me in relation to a world that's become sad, unhappy, disturbed, angry. If I can be that happy, peaceful one being in a world where everyone is losing hope, I become the star. Can I be that? What do you think? Or is it too difficult to be a star? Everyone is all in darkness. How can I shine alone? We need company to shine with others. Can you see? It's just a simple thing like that. It's okay. If you are a star, you're the only one. It's okay, isn't it? Or you need company to be a star. I think I was telling everyone this joke the other day. I found this quite funny. If you tell somebody that you're a lion, they get very happy, right? You know, the personality of a lion. Yeah. If you tell somebody you're an animal, will they be happy with you? But what's a lion? Is it not an animal? It's just a different way of looking at it, isn't it? We all want to be the best, but why don't we find it comfortable that if you're the only one? You know, when we have to do something different, like go out there and help somebody because everybody is in despair or everyone is tired and you're the only one carrying the load, then you think, why me alone, isn't it? But to be like a superstar, you might only get one superstar, isn't it? You don't say, why I'm the only one who's the best. Does anyone complain why you won first prize only? Why didn't everyone get first prize? At that point, we don't even want to share our chair, isn't it? We want the seat just for ourselves. Something in our way of thinking is a little bit corrupted, no? There's some virus there, right? We need to eradicate that virus. So I'm throwing these ideas to you because you can't think that we got it together. I think we've messed up inside badly. All the files are a bit corrupted. We take a little bit from here, little from here, and we mix it, and then we ourselves don't know what we want. So instead of taking your cue from the outside, I think it's really important to go upward and inside. And that's really what spirituality is asking us to do. It's just to do a little bit of me time. Really just ask my heart these very important questions, even though I might feel very passionate about why I think this has to happen, I need this, I need this. Seriously, do a little bit of audit and ask yourself, why really do you think that these are the most essential things? And go deep inside and find the root cause of it. You'll then discover the gem. Because, for a ship to go completely astray, from the start point, it might only have gone even half a degree out of course. But it took a long time for it to carry on traveling on that route, just 1 degree off, that instead of finding it there, it finds itself there. And maybe that's what we're finding, is that I don't know how I'm supposed to be there and I'm there. But in the beginning of my journey, I was just half a degree out of course. Where's that change we need to bring back in? The distance now from where I am and where I should be is huge. But the shift actually is very little. So don't try and look at that physical difference. Just let's go back to the root and find out what tweaking I need from the inside. And so that shift is not a big one. And when we start making that shift, you'll see how easily it is. So spirituality is not meant to be difficult at all. It's a very relaxing, easy journey. It is, really, it is an easy, relaxing journey. It's not supposed to be hard work. But it's hard work when I start trying to change everyone else. For this world of mine to be good, I need to change all my neighbors, the government, what else, the waterworks, maybe even the temperature, the climate change. If we want to have a better life, right? Now all this flooding, maybe the whole sewage system we need to change. I mean, hallelujah, where are we going to start, eh? But if I can tweak something inside me that is not so judgmental, not so critical, then whilst these things exist, I'm not going to suffer. You think it's possible? Or let's rather change the sewer system and let's get climate change going in. We can keep ourselves so busy revolutionizing the world that we move completely away from ourselves. So that's what's happening. People are very busy doing what? Changing other people. And that's hard work. It's a lifetime of work to do. But this inner work, it doesn't need a lot of space or nothing. It just needs a little bit of inner attention. And when we tweak that inside of ourselves, it's like slowly the world is aligning to it. You'll attract the right things will happen to you. Just when you're about to go in the wrong road, which is flooding, you'll take the right turn and go to the right place, or to the right side of the mountain where there is sun and no rain. Anything is possible, isn't it? Now, this is not wishful thinking. It's for us to understand how powerful our thought is. Because as much as there's a huge manifestation, each of these manifestations has its root in a little seed, which is our thoughts. And we create those thoughts. Every single day, we are generating thousands of these little thoughts. And these thoughts are getting projected out and creating our world for us. So what we see around us is our manifestation of thoughts. Do you know how powerful you are? So, are we ready to change how we think? Or not really? too much work. That's all we have to do. One little tweak from looking out there to tweaking how we think. And that's all you have to do, is to just focus on what you think, and also not what I already thought about and what I have to think. Just think about what you're thinking about now. Just this moment of thought, and just keep only focusing on what I'm thinking about now. If it goes off track, bring it on track, and that's it. Second by second, moment by moment, that's it, one at a time. Have you ever noticed these little ants, man? If they have to walk from year to year, if they stood here and looked there, they'll think, I'm not sure if I'm getting there, no? Do they ever do that? They just start walking. And they'll do the whole trip and come back again. And they carry on doing it the whole day. They don't look like they're getting tired, do they? What makes us tired? We're thinking about, gosh, is that how far I have to walk? And before even the first step, we're already exhausted. So we're not tired, but in the mind, we are tired. So our thoughts are so essential. And I would really think that that's something that we need to revisit. You have to ask yourself, where is this taking me if I think like this? Because I don't think anybody can change your thinking for you. No matter even if we sit there and we create all sorts of ideas and whatever, it's not you, the creator. You have to own it. And when you do, it will change quite easily. So, I was thinking I'll speak for 20 minutes and then I'll ask questions. It didn't even happen that way. But you all have any questions? Maybe give us some suggestions. What do you think you can do from this point onwards?
I actually want to say something about maybe the inner work. You know, we have to say sometimes a person just needs to sit and think. Now that's what I do. Sometimes, like maybe say for instance at the end of the day, or maybe like the week or whatever, I will think, like, was that a good thing or a nice thing to say? Whatever I said, was it a good thing or a nice thing? And I revisit, you know, with these occurrences that had all these happenings. I revisit it, and then I decide, like, I ask myself. I'm judging myself now, and then I either, if I feel like no, that was not justified, I will go to the person and I will say, I'm sorry, I don't think that was said in a nice way, or maybe not. It wasn't said the way I intended it to be said.
So you're doing like a personal audit from time to time.
Yes, that is.
And are you finding that making a difference to yourself?
I feel that it does. I feel it makes a difference. I am more understanding of people. You know, and I keep myself like sort of on the, you know, on that part.
And do you feel happier?
I feel happier.
Great. So can you see it's a good example. Just a personal audit. Don't go and kill yourself or anything. Just an audit, and then ask yourself, and you will know. We know exactly what is good and what is not good, isn't it? I don't think we need anyone to come in. But if somebody else came and told you, you know, you treated that one really bad, you'd become defensive, isn't it?
Yes.
But when you do it personally, it's a very powerful thing, and you will think twice to do it again because it was hard for you to go and apologize, isn't it?
Yes, very much.
So this is actually why it's so lovely that you can do it for yourself and then go through that point of going to apologize, and that will become like your biggest teacher. Thank you. That's very beautiful. Anyone else? The rest? Yes, dear.
we are the best teachers about.
Yes,
So,
we are own teachers, yeah.
Like what she said, I also have a problem. I will say something. When I'm tossing and turning in bed at night, I think about it. And I said that I would go down. And more often than not, even if it was about, if I thought I was wrong, a lot of times, I do apologize. Just to feel, I respect we feel better. And the other thing you said, to change the world, you can't change the world. But you can change the company you keep. Because that also influences your life. Because sometimes you have friends and you tell them, oh, I'd like to do this, or I'd like to do that, or I'd like to change this. You give people who will always put you off. You'll always get negative thoughts.
Right.
But there are some people who say, why don't you take a chance?
So that's true. You can change your company, but then we'll be changing company all the time too, no?
No.
So no, I'm just so I agree with you, but I think more than enough, when we become more confident what we need to do, then even if somebody says no, we say, okay, thank you, and then we still can do what we need to do. And we have to learn to understand that people will give us their perception, and because we're with people, we listen to everyone. But if I don't know where I'm going, that's when people can distract me. If I know where I'm going, then even if somebody gives me the wrong directions or tells me to do something different, I'll think, but I've been there and that's where it is. So I'll be guided by my own clarity. And that's why being quiet is so important, because we clear the space inside of us, free from that clutter, so that when the thing that is not correct comes, I can discern accurately. And I think more than anything else in this world, our power of discerning has to become more and more refined. Because people might also just talk out of fear. It's not that they're meaning to be harmful to you or putting you down. People are genuinely afraid. So they become more hesitant and don't want to do things. So I think that's also a reality. So I would just say that, yes, just be aware that the stronger I make myself, the more clear I am, the less I become a candidate to be deceived or be let down. Okay. So just 2-minute meditation. Thank you so much. It was rather fun. I wasn't sure how this was going to pan out. But also, I gave you a little thing for myself. What I realized is that, we must have faith of what is inside. But the beautiful thing is always to ask the right questions. And so it's like that. I'm pretty sure that if you were put in a situation and somebody asked you a question, you would be amazing the advice you would give somebody. And you think, where did all that come from? And so the secret actually is that all wisdom does lie in us. That's just what we are created of. That's really what we are. Peace. And so this is our meditation. Let us just focus our energy beyond this physical body and focus the attention of my mind on the being of energy within this body, behind the eyes, in the center of the forehead, the living diamond, this being of pure energy is eternal, immortal, imperishable. This being is eternally a peaceful, loving, happy, wise, and powerful being. with this awareness, I give myself permission to live with confidence, courage, and commitment, to be true to myself and honor that living being of peace, love, happiness, joy, wisdom, and power. To constantly uphold these qualities in my thoughts, words, and deeds. Om Shanti. Thank you.